Hello, one. Hello, all. Welcome to this May 31st to June 2nd edition of Show Business. I am CP.
And I am Lindsey of My Two Cents of Nonsense. How do you do?
Dino from the Late Late Horror Show is running late. He's got some family stuff he's taking care of. We may see him later on in the show. We may not. But we do have a returning champion, Fuego from the Horror Show and Fuegotainment. What's up, man?
What is happening, guys? Pleasure to be here as per always.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. Before we get into the nitty gritty, let's just do the numbers for the weekend that was. First place was Godzilla King of Monsters with 48 million. Second,
wow, did that underperform? That underperformed like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Second place, Aladdin with 43 million. Third place was ROCKETMAN with 26. Fourth place was Ma with 18 million. And fifth was John Wick 3 at 11. You talked about Godzilla underperforming, but I read that Ma considerably overperformed.
Big time.
Yeah. What again? What was it? 18? That's
18.
Pretty good.
On like what, a $5 million budget? I want to say.
Yeah.
Like that Blumhouse stuff. They're just printing money, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
Jason Blum is a freaking genius, man. Like I'm just gonna. I will never.
Well, he didn't make the movie. He went out and bought it.
He's a genius with money and what to give money to and what not to. I mean, even when he fails, then he makes something terrible like Annabelle. Like it makes money. So like, props for that.
He does go down in flames if he goes down. Like Truth or Dare was.
I hated that movie with such a passion. God, was it awful. Anyway.
I love how that's the one you start with, like not even like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Well, I'm trying to think of stuff like, I mean, we all know like Halloween and it was Conjuring, right? Conjuring's. No, that's not.
Those are Blumhouse. That's a different studio.
Oh, you're right. He didn't do Annabelle. I apologize.
What's the big franchise he's done before? Oh, is it Paranormal Activity? Is that Blum?
There was Paranormal Activity, the Insidious movies, I want to say.
Sinister, the two of them.
Yeah, a couple of those.
Get Out, The Visit. Oh, The Purge. That's his.
That's their other go-to.
Yeah, Get Out. There was your gold stamp right there. That was immediately.
Happy Death Day.
Oh, right. That's a little bit of a darling lately.
And then they've even branched out and done like Whiplash, if I remember, and I think Black Klansman.
Yes.
Really?
Was Black Klansman?
Black Klansman was terrific, man. I love
Black Klansman. It was a very good movie. Yeah, I agree with that.
Same with Whiplash. Being a drummer myself, how could I not love Whiplash? So,
He did do Black Klansman. That's hilarious. I did not know
Is it hilarious, Lindsey? Really?
It's good for him. He's getting in on these movies that are getting attention. Like he's doing his thing.
I don't even think that's chuckle.
Branch out. Expand their horizons.
So we all managed to catch the winner of the weekend, which was Godzilla King of Monsters, and is the reception mixed? I think the Rotten Tomato score is in the 30s as we speak.
Here. Oh, it's that low.
We record this Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So I'll start with Lindsey. Lindsey, what were your thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters?
Yeah, damn, you're right. It's 39%. That's harsh.
Yeah.
Honestly, I liked it. I understand why some people aren't crazy about it. But after I hated 2014 so much. I hated the characters. Mm-hmm. I hated the build-up. I despise the director. Gareth Edwards has yet to make a movie that I can even call halfway good. But that's just me. I despise Rogue One. I think that we don't need to get into that. That's a whole other thing. But I
didn't even get to finish it.
You're right. That's true. I shouldn't judge him for his half-finished movie. You're correct on that. But yeah. So after just that disappointment, I was on board. I liked the fights. I liked the kind of campy, dumb dialogue. I haven't watched that much Godzilla growing up, but it reminded me of what I do remember from Godzilla growing up. Some of the characters were beyond stupid, and some of the dialogue was so bad only Charles Dance can make it sound good. I make all of that. I have no illusions of all that. But the parts of it that I liked, I really liked. I like the tease of the deeper mythology, even though they didn't go into it. I'm not. I did like the references to Kong, even though there were way too many of them. And after this movie, I have no idea how King Kong is supposed to be a threat to Godzilla. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe Godzilla like shoots missiles that night. I mean, maybe King Kong shoots missiles and lasers out of his monkey tits. I don't know, but I just honestly don't see how that movie is going to be good. But I still liked it, so hey, references to it.
It's coming out in less than 10 months,
right? Which is also crazy. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on this. What do you got, Fuego?
Real quick, just saying hi to the YouTube chat. If you're listening on the podcast, again, we do this every Monday night on the WILIscredia channel, Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you're watching, you can listen to us on the podcast. The name of the podcast is Show Business, believe it or not. That easy.
Somehow it wasn't taken. Our game.
Yeah, we got lucky. What's up, Eddie? What's up, Robert? What's up, White Tim? What's up, Sarah? What's up, Fuego? Even though you're here. What's up,
Fuego
Felix?
gets 2.
And Sarah says I'm pumped for Godzilla. We'll see how you feel after our collective thoughts. Sorry, Fuego. Why don't you tell us how you feel about King of the Monsters?
Yeah, I can't say I was the biggest fan of this film, and yet it was funny because I was seated next to somebody being Cecil from the horror show who was just eating up every minute of it. And the Vera Farmiga character's logic was so utterly asinine to me that I just could not get past it. Yeah. And it was like facepalm status. I was so just angry with how that character was written, and the dialogue was bad. And so I didn't necessarily mind the 2014 version. It took the Jaws approach. I felt like it did do a decent job of showing the scale of these creatures a little bit better than I think this movie did. And
I'll give it that. Yeah, I'll give 2014 that. That's very true.
Yeah. And I mean, off air before we started this, we were talking about a phrase I use often called the burden of expectation. And I'm such a huge fan of Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat. Krampus, not quite as much, but I've grown to appreciate it after multiple viewings and stuff like that. So with the cast they put together for this, with Millie Bobby Brown and with Vera Farmiga and with some of the returning people from the last one as well, like Ken Watanabe, I was really excited for this movie, and I actually had a hell of a lot of fun with Kong Skull Island. I thought that it kind of was fan service in the fact that, okay, let's just have tons of creatures fighting. Let's do the opposite of the Gareth Edwards movie. And I really preferred that movie to this one. I really preferred Kong Skull Island to this one. This one was, the fights were cool, but I felt like the characters were far dumber than we saw in the previous 2 of these new, like, big creature universe stuff that Legendary is trying to do. So I don't know. Fights were fun, but there really wasn't much else that I enjoyed about this movie. So
yeah. So I've heard that gripe quite a bit. I'm not trying to be a dick, but how would you guys have scripted this film with the same premise? You have a bunch of monsters running around, and it's still planet Earth, and there's still humans. How do you make that a viable story?
I just didn't like the whole eco-terrorist, whatever, I just didn't like that angle. Although you raised a good point where it's like, okay, how would you have gone about doing it differently? I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of tectonic shift, earthquakes or something, and so these creatures start getting unleashed just inadvertently. It's like maybe some sort of weird fail-safe thing. As opposed to humans being responsible for it, they do touch on the point a few times where they're like, humans are this festering parasite that's destroying existence. It's been a theme on metal albums for like the last 15, 20 years or something that I've listened to. And so, maybe, some sort of drilling happens, and maybe they accidentally drill and they unleash King Ghidorah, and maybe with him coming out, that's when all the other creatures start flocking and raising as well, which they did factor into the plot. The fact that he was almost helping unleash all the other stuff, because remember, Vera's character was like, no, I thought they would all like gradually rise as opposed to all raising at once and destroying all of humanity, and there being so much collateral. So I don't know. I just didn't like that whole angle of humans just being responsible for the unleashing of the monsters. But that's just me. I mean, personal preference. I have a lot of friends that had a lot of fun with this movie, and to each their own if they did. So film is subjective.
Yeah, suspension of disbelief. Yeah, I'm a bit of a hypocrite, but I was, I kind of accepted what they were selling. Like, all right, is this what we need to see this movie? Fine. I mean, if I had a major question, and I don't even think they'd be able to show it. Is how would the humans of Earth be reacting to this stuff? I mean, the one thing that I really, really, really loved about this movie, and I think I'm in the middle of you guys. I'm okay with it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but there was some stuff that I certainly had my jaw just pressed to the ground, like this scope. If anything, the scope of some of these shots and some of the ways the film was presented are quite awe-inspiring.
Yeah, like there were some truly gorgeous, even like in some of the dumb moments, like just so many of these shots in this movie I want to make a poster out of. Like I want to make like half the shots in this movie into a poster. Like,
yeah,
I don't. That doesn't really make up for stuff, but I want to do it.
There's two or three moments with Mothra and like just the color, just the I don't know, it just looked gorgeous. Like
Mothra looked awesome. I will definitely concur about that.
Yeah,
like when she's behind that waterfall, like flapping her wings for the first time, like that was just gorgeous, man. And even some of the destruction scenes, like when Ghidorah is like, I mean, I guess pseudo spoilers. I'll try to not, but like
they're
when he's
big
just like
monsters.
Big storm. Yeah, and one of them's called Ghidorah. It's got 3 heads and it shoots lightning. When there's like a lightning yellow storm over the city, like that was beautiful bleakness. Like,
yeah.
It's hard to achieve.
So how were you guys with the premise of 2014?
I would have been fine with the premise. I just didn't care about any of the characters. I just couldn't engage on them. It was like last week I talked about waiting for third act movies with Brightburn, and it was like such a waiting for the third act movie because like the main character's like, oh, just wait for me, I'm coming. Just wait for me, I'm coming. When like any husband would say, get the fuck out. I'll catch up with you guys when I can. Like,
yeah, I asked that because in 2014, there's the whole "let them fight" line.
Oh yeah,
and it's
which is the best line of the movie.
Watanabe.
Yeah,
so good.
Like again, we're tiny little human beings with these great. Granted, there was only three monsters back then.
That's enough to destroy San Francisco.
yeah, fair point. So it's just, I guess. I'm wondering where the line for suspension of disbelief is, and I guess maybe I just wanted to see some fun shit. Like the Meg is unbelievable on all counts.
I hated it so much.
Oh, did you? All right, so then that makes sense.
Yeah, Meg, but I had just read the book. Cecil loves that series, and he made me read the book right before we went to see it, and so I was just
Cecil
really...
has a suspect taste. It sounds.
Wait, there's a book series about the Meg.
Yeah, the Meg is based on the book, and the book is honestly like it's on par with Jurassic Park, man. I loved it. It's got legitimate science like put into place about the Marianas Trench and all that stuff, and I mean it's very well written, and that's why seeing this big stupid movie that it became just irritated me so much. But hey. Once again, to each their own. I know a lot of people that had fun with the Meg. So
Lindsey's favorite part was the underwater
secret ocean under the ocean.
They just never should have made it PG-13, man. The book is brutal. Yeah. The book is gory and crazy, and they just didn't do it proper, in my opinion. But
I could see some gore factor kind of amping up some of those scenes, like when like the big one comes out of nowhere to eat the slightly less big one. Like that could have been something cool.
So how much Godzilla knowledge do you guys have of the many Godzilla films?
First one that I ever saw was the one with Perry Mason in it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
84, Godzilla 84 or 85 or whatever it was, where they took that Japanese version and they retrofitted it and filmed those scenes with the American actors and recut it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Godzilla 85, there it is. That's the first one I ever saw syndicated on TV. I checked it out, and I liked it well enough. I saw the 98 one in theaters, owned the soundtrack. Talk about great soundtracks. Last Action Hero, the Godzilla soundtrack is killer. So much more enjoyable than the movie. And I'll actually say that Godzilla 98 is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't think it's a good movie by any means, but I had some fun with it, and I like the weird little Velociraptor baby Godzillas and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool.
You mean the Madison Square Garden nest? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime you're beating dinosaurs with gumballs, I'm amused. Okay, so like I will give Godzilla 98 that. Like it's fun.
Home Alone.
You've got the dog walker, Hank Azaria, and you've got Matthew Broderick. The cast is good in it. It's a bad movie, but it's one of those so bad I actually find it entertaining kind of situations. So
I like how you mentioned the cast. Aren't there 3 Simpsons actors in that movie?
Yes.
Well, Hank Azaria. Who else is in it? I'm trying to think.
The main lady's boss at the news station.
Lisa's voice.
Oh yeah,
you're Lee Smith. Yeah.
That's right. Oh my god, that movie's so silly. I love it.
So something that I don't know, puzzled me. We mentioned before that King of the Monsters is a bit of a letdown as far as box office is concerned. I went and looked out on the YouTube page. I have some stats regarding Godzilla. They just don't perform well.
The American ones, no, yeah.
Yeah, this is domestic figures, mind you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
2014.
And this is total.
Total domestic. 2014 only did 200 million.
But it did 96 its opening weekend, which is why I honestly thought that this was going to perform better than it did. Even Kong did a bunch more, 20-something million more than this one even did opening weekend. So I think the series is in regression, personally.
Yeah, because you have 1998, which made 136. This King of the Monsters is already third of Godzilla movies with 47, and that's just from this weekend. And then you have this huge drop to Godzilla 2000 with 10 million, Godzilla 1985 with 4 million, Shin Godzilla, which came out, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm. That only made 1 million, and then the original has only pulled in 412,000.
Oof.
And what's funny is this new GCU, Godzilla 2014, 200 million first, Kong Skull Island in second with only 168 million. And now, obviously, you have King of Monsters with 47. It's just not a heavy hitter in the States.
I'm looking at Shin Godzilla right now. I didn't realize it did that badly because that movie was really the talk of the town for a minute there. Just to throw it out there, this new one has made 130 million at the foreign box office, so it's doing fine there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's maybe it's the fact that we don't have America doesn't have such a strong historical tie to Godzilla, like Japan and other countries do. Like it's such a big deal for other countries because so much of it comes out of the fact that America dropped a nuke on another country. I'm not trying to get political here. That's just the history of Godzilla.
Emily said the same thing either on the way to or on the way back from Godzilla, and she made a reference to I know why Japanese like this and we were like, man, just shut up. It's a big lizard. Who cares? I'll have to get the exact line. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's interesting history, the franchise, because there's that first one where it's like Godzilla's the bad guy, and it's all about defeating Godzilla before he wipes out Japan and all that. But then what is it, 2-3 movies later, he's the good guy fighting against evil monsters to protect Japan. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, again, not trying to get, this is literally just the history of Godzilla here. So he starts off as trying to destroy Japan, and then he's a weird ally of Japan, kind of like how America was a weird, we were against them and now we're allies and stuff. So it's the whole thing is about our relationship with Japan, and but it's America just doesn't care, but Japan loves it.
What are you talking about, Doc? All the best stuff comes from Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that Godzilla 48 million, it'll probably be forgotten within 2 weeks, unfortunately. And the quality of the film probably doesn't help. But it's like you guys said, within a year, we're going to have Godzilla King Kong. Also, ROCKETMAN came out this weekend. I don't think Lindsey or I saw it, but Fuego, why don't you drop some knowledge on us?
Yeah, so I reviewed this on Fuegotainment, saw it the other night with my lady, and both of us enjoyed it. Decent amount. It's interesting because the one thing that they had mentioned in the marketing material was that it's based on a real life fantasy. And so it's not grounded in the sense that Bohemian Rhapsody was. I mean, there's these big, like, fantasy, like, dance / musical numbers, and you get the first one like just a couple minutes into the film. I would probably compare it much more so to like Across the Universe.
I was just thinking that when you said that.
Saw that Beatles film, and I love that movie. I think it's great. I know a lot of people had issues with it, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. And so just based on the way that they approach the musical numbers, and it's not just Taron Egerton doing all the numbers by himself. There's other cast members that join in on verses and back and forth and stuff like that. Bryce Dallas Howard as his mom does some singing, as do a few other characters. And
bootleg Jessica Chastain.
Wait, Bryce Dallas Howard is playing moms
now? They're interchangeable. Well, I mean, now that Bryce gained some weight, like, she's not bone rail skinny like she was in the Jurassic World movies. I honestly thought it was Chastain at first until I saw the credits, and I was like, holy moly, she's a little thicker, but she's playing his mom, so it kind of makes sense, I guess. So I did really enjoy it. I didn't love it, though. There were certain beats I thought that they kind of scurried over, like his marriage and a few other things. But I mean, the performance is fantastic. I wasn't so sure how much I was going to like Taron actually singing, because Rami Malek did not sing those Bohemian Rhapsody songs for that film. They had somebody else. Taron actually sang these songs, and he sounded better than I anticipated that he would. And he looked so much like Elton John, like a young Elton John. It was crazy. The film is getting a lot of attention because of the fact that it's R-rated and it goes for it. And as far as just him being gay, and there's a love scene in the movie, and it's not like hardcore or anything. It's I mean, hey, they go for it, and I commend them on that. The one thing that I will say is that, spoilers, for Bohemian Rhapsody, or for anyone who has lived under a rock, is that Freddie Mercury dies. Obviously.
Hey,
and
you went back home, okay?
Oh my God, how can you divulge this key information? But and the fact that Elton John, 26 years sober, has great husband now, two little boys, so he has kids and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. He was able to do all this crazy hedonistic, insane living and the drugs and the sex and all this stuff, and make it out alive, and he's happy and things are great. And for me, there's no scene in this film like the scene where they're playing the Highlander song and Who Wants to Live Forever, and it doesn't have that sort of just emotional resonance that we get from the passing of Freddie in that movie. So even though I think ROCKETMAN is a far superior movie, it didn't quite hit me in the feels in the same way that Bohemian Rhapsody did, at least in the third act. So that's the one thing that I will say this movie was lacking. But as a whole, it's terrifically directed. The songs are tastefully picked, even though it is mostly hits. And I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And I definitely recommend everybody go see it if you like Elton John. So.
Yeah, it's not like I'm looking for a spoiler or anything, but it is an interesting thought. Elton John doing fine. He's still with us as we speak. And for the most part hasn't really been controversial for a while. I can't help but wonder. All right, so how do you wrap that movie up without?
It actually, without spoiling, it doesn't go into the here and the now of his career. It is really just exploring his initial success and his career, like in the 70s and into the early 80s and stuff. So it's not like the full scope. Like, I was honestly hoping for, like, This Train Don't Stop Here Anymore, which was one of his comeback songs. I love that song. And even though I'm not a big Timberlake fan, Justin Timberlake played a young Elton John in the music video for that song, and it was behind the scenes, and the grandeur and the craziness and some of the excess and whatnot. And it doesn't go that far into his career. There's some post-credit stuff where they're just like, Elton has been just flashing visuals and statistics and whatnot, the same thing you see in so many of these biopics. But it doesn't go into his late career. So.
Yeah, Felix in the YouTube chat says Bohemian Rhapsody is pure rubbish if you know the real Freddie Mercury story, which I agree. Although I guess there was probably two ways you could have ended Bohemian Rhapsody, and they did one of them. The peak of their celebrity or whatever, them going out at Live Aid. Or I thought it would have been real neat for him to because he managed to get a couple of albums out while he had AIDS. Show them finishing while he was sick and triumph through that sickness. I thought that would have been a nice way to end that story, but alas.
I didn't love Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm not saying it's a better movie. It's very much like a behind the music, like, okay, this is us writing this song, and this is us writing this song, and jump through everything, So I don't know. Between those two movies and The Dirt, the Motley Crue movie, I definitely feel like these musician biopics are like back in vogue, and I'm curious what else is, coming through the pipeline soon. Nothing comes to mind right off the bat.
Give me Lords of Chaos.
Yes, and another one. Yeah, another recent one. Obviously more on the extreme side.
Yeah, more on the extreme side and not so centric on the music itself. But yeah, are we done yet, Hollywood? Can we take a breath now with the
Well, how long till the Bowie one is my question.
Yeah. Oh, good question. Yeah.
Right. And talking about like someone who like recorded up until like as they were dying, like didn't he release an album like the week that he died, something like that? So you could have that tearjerker ending easy.
Lindsey, are you able to, in quick time, while I have Fuego talk about Ma, are you able to bring us up biopics, like what their financial successes are?
Yeah. Okay. So
and Fuego, while he's dancing, trying to find math. Do you want to tell us about Ma?
So am I the only one you saw?
Yeah.
Ma? Yeah. So yeah, that was one that the press screening was on the same night as Godzilla, and Cecil and I were like, free Godzilla in IMAX versus going to see Ma. Yeah, we paid money to go see Ma. Well, I used my AMC stubs, so I didn't really pay for it. I guess I pay at the beginning of the month for that stuff, but definitely not a horror movie, and not quite what it was advertised as. It's not massively misrepresenting itself, but it's definitely more of a thriller drama, and you don't even really get any horror until pretty much the very end of the movie. And terrific acting from Octavia Spencer. I know everybody knows her from The Help, and she was in Shape of Water as well. And the girl who was the lesbian love interest of the chick in Booksmart, the one who she hooks up with in the bathroom CP, she's the lead in this, actually. So she's the young girl who moves to this new town.
She was also in something that came out last year too.
Yeah, she was in one of the Into the Dark Blumhouse on Hulu things or something, according to Cecil at least. I haven't seen it, but yeah. So she's the lead in it. Juliette Lewis is her mother. They have moved back to the town that Juliette Lewis grew up in, and so yeah, she actually grew up with the Ma character. And then you've also got Luke Evans. He's another person from this circle of friends, and it really just boils down to this Ma character was, kind of shunned and picked on a little bit and embarrassed in one particular flashback scene. And so she's got some inner demons based on that. And she's really, at the end of the day, she's not even portrayed as much of a villain. She's just like a sad character that you almost feel sorry for because she doesn't have a lot of friends. And that's why she wants to party with these kids and decides to buy them alcohol. And then when they're like, "Ma, you're weird. We're not so sure we really want to go over and party with you anymore." And she gets insane and obsessive, and the whole like misery aspect / like fatal attraction thing a little bit, just with friendship instead, as far as the obsessiveness goes. But it's I just felt bad for her character at the end of the day. So
is there another film that you can compare it to?
It's been compared to God. I'm trying to think of something beyond the whole misery comparison, beyond the yeah.
I guess that is the obvious one, isn't it?
Well, as far as like a fatal obsessive friendship goes, that doesn't turn like weird and sexual. Damn, I'm trying to think of an example, and nothing is really coming to mind.
What's that terrible Facebook movie, Friend Request? Is that the one where the girl's a ghost?
I like that movie.
I actually never saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there's two of them.
Friend Request.
I don't know which one I'm talking
about. It's still sitting in my Netflix cache on the streaming side, I want to say. But
wait, no, I think Friend Request is the bad one.
Yeah, no, there's two of them that came out in the same year, and one of them is kind of
Unfriended. Okay, Unfriended is the good one. Friend Request is the bad one.
I liked Unfriended.
Yeah.
Lindsey, what you got? You got any numbers for us as far as why Hollywood keeps putting their damn money into these
Well, the two highest grossing of them, I guess. Okay.
I bet it's Ray and Walk the Line.
Ooh, okay, not quite. Walk the Line is number 3. But in the top 5 highest grossing of these of all time, 3 of them are within the last 4 years.
Okay.
Bohemian Rhapsody is the first one, 216 million. Straight Outta Compton, 160 is number 2.
That's an awesome movie, man. It's a great movie.
So is. I love. I never got around to seeing All Eyes on Me, the spin-off Tupac one from it, but Straight Outta Compton.
I didn't see the Biggie Smalls one either. I didn't see either of those.
Notorious wasn't that good.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Plus, also named for a Hitchcock movie.
Yeah, Straight Outta Compton, though, man, the portrayal of that actor who played Eazy-E was just fantastic, man. I mean, it was really his movie at the end of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. Yeah. And then the last one is I Can Only Imagine, which is, I believe, a religious movie. Yeah, Roadside Attractions. Yeah. So, but I mean, hey, that's a reason for them to keep pumping them out.
Where's The Doors?
That's 1992 money. Dino in the YouTube chat, 15th
with 34 million.
Hi Dino, enjoy the game. Get some hot dogs and Cracker Jack for Sarah says, really enjoying the podcast. You guys rock. Thank you, Sarah. Again, if you want to listen to this bullshit on your way to work, Show Business is the name of the podcast. So this week upcoming, we've got some Fox. We've got some Fox superhero movies.
Oh, the Y-Men, yeah.
Dark Phoenix. And I did some of your job there, Lindsey, and I found some interesting math in regards to Fox and what their money is concerned. Opening weekends, they're just not that strong. Like, I mean, there's a couple of, like, what the funny thing is, the 2 heaviest hitters are Deadpool and Deadpool 2.
Of course they are. That's really funny.
Yeah, the biggest opening weekend from a Fox Marvel movie that wasn't Deadpool was X-Men: The Last Stand, and that was 102 million.
Yuck.
Yeah. Well,
that's 2006 money, but still, like.
Yeah, but it's and they appear to like releasing stuff in the month of May because they did Apocalypse, X-Men Origins Wolverine, X2, Deadpool 2, The Last Stand, Days of Future Past.
Oh my God!
Like, they like May, they really do.
Yeah.
But they don't like making money. Like, I'm looking at this, Days of Future Past, 91 million, Logan, 88.
Such a good movie.
Yeah.
I love Days of Future Past. It's terrific.
Agreed.
The Wolverine, 53 million. X2.
It's so sad to me that that's like such a low grossing one for that franchise because it's much better than people give it credit for.
And I mean, until the third act with the Silver Samurai, whatever silliness, the movie was really good up until that point. The scenes with him and Funka Johnson, I think, are terrific.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I did forget how silly it gets. You're right. Maybe that's why it didn't do so good. But the rest of it is pretty solid. Yeah.
So the other thing that kind of made my eyes fall out of my skull is X-Men Origins Wolverine made 85 million opening weekend. First Class made 55. It made $30 million less than X-Men Origins Wolverine. With the shitty Deadpool, that one.
Yeah, exactly. Where the Merc didn't even have a mouth to yap her off with. What the hell?
So, looking at these numbers, the strongest they've ever done is Deadpool's 132, and that was in February.
That's by leaps and bounds too. I've got the same figures here: 80 million between Deadpool 2 and X-Men: The Last Stand, which is in third place. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Lifetime gross. It's pretty close on opening weekend.
Yeah, on the YouTube page, I have the opening weekends. But
Gotcha. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not surprised about Deadpool because it hit that sweet spot of when they released it, and yet I can't tell you how many years I've been to the different Comic-Cons, like covering as press and seeing the amount of Deadpool cosplay and all its different variations from the Deadpool corpse. And I mean, that was just like a sleeping giant, like waiting to just go bonkers, in my opinion, especially when they released it. No competition whatsoever, counter programming for that particular weekend. So I'm not shocked it crushed the way that it did. So despite its rating.
What do you think it is? I mean, because we kind of, sort of have the X-Men franchise to thank for what comic book movies are today, to a certain degree.
It definitely contributed, yeah.
A lot of people credit that, and I mean, I know Blade was a couple of years before, but two Marvel properties, that really just kind of showed that comic book films could be serious and have like a little more depth to them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, everybody knows X-Men is, Bryan Singer being a gay man used it as a metaphor for homosexuality, and so there was a lot more to say with that particular film than you typically. I'm not the biggest fan of the first X-Men movie. X2 is fantastic, though, in my opinion. So I mean, it's between that and Days of Future Past for the best entries in the series, aside from probably Logan. Mm-hmm. But lots of credit to CP. You're right, man.
Why not? Why aren't people watching these things like an Iron Man, like a Spider-Man? Like, just what is it about this franchise that?
Well, how many, honestly, how many good X-Men movies have there been? Like, I think that might be part of it. It's a fairly inconsistent franchise. Like you have X2, which the ones that people like pretty much universally. X2, Days of Future Past, Logan, Deadpool movies. Mm-hmm. But everything else is kind of hit and miss. Like, people like First Class. But it's but I mean, exactly. But like, after those 5, there's still 6 more to go because there's 11 altogether. But those 6 are very divisive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even like X2 these days, people talk about how like it's good, but has it aged well? I think it has. But there's that discussion about whether or not it has or not. And I think it might just honestly be the inconsistent nature of the franchise, and also like the fact that they're like spanning 2 franchises going multiple decades and how they're always trying to combine them together. It gets confusing sometimes. Maybe it's just, it doesn't have the smoothness of like the MCU and stuff like that. Maybe that's got something in there.
Fuego?
Yeah, I'm actually going to echo your sentiments, man. The fact that, one was so much of a darling with the critics, and then the second one was just as much, and then even a higher quality, as far as film wise, and with the fans and everything too, and enjoying it so much more. But Last Stand sucked, and I feel like
it really did.
bringing in Brett Ratner, it was just so like the tone was completely different in my opinion. And so I feel like that and the Wolverine Origins both did so good initially because of the fact that people were still hoping that it was going to like recapture some of that flavor. And I think First Class's numbers were so low because fans had been burned so badly by those previous 2 entries. And so even though that was a big improvement, nobody went to see it. And that was more of a word of mouth once it hit video and everything, which is why everybody came out in droves to see, Days of Future Past. And it was combining both of the timelines and like universes, so to speak. But I mean, then again, Apocalypse was terrible, and so I'm actually not thinking Dark Phoenix is going to perform very well. I think it's, especially with Simon Kinberg directing, I'm not particularly I don't have a lot of faith. He's never directed a movie before. I don't have a lot of faith in this film, although I really do like the casting of Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. I thought that was one of the only good things about Apocalypse was that. And so as you guys probably know, this series is now going to be run by Fox. And they're going to reboot all the mutant stuff over time as, we segue into Phase 4. Mm-hmm. There's no immediate plans. They're supposedly going to tease in some post-credit stuff. And then we still have the whole New Mutant situation where nobody knows when the hell that movie is going to come out, which I was really excited for. I like Josh.
It looks so good.
And the cast is great, but they're apparently it's going to be released by Disney. It's not going to get dumped on Hulu, or so they say. Right. But it's going to undergo some more reshoots before its April release. It's had dates moved on it like 4 or 5 times at this point. And I mean, so you're totally right, man. Inconsistency is what has definitely doomed this franchise. And the fact that Marvel movies have that formulaic consistency and they come out frequently and have come out even more frequently as all the MCU stuff is going on. We still have to wait a couple of years between most of these X-Men movies. So it's not like they're kept in the constant public stream of consciousness and thought. Right. The MCU movies come out like clockwork. You get at least a couple a year at this point, and so they're fresh in people's minds. And there's none that are really that bad, except maybe Iron Man 2. So I mean, even that has redeeming qualities, like Sam Rockwell. So I don't know.
Oh, he's so good.
So on the YouTube page, I have a display of the lowest grossing, or the Marvel films lowest grossing, and films that were
that's beautiful.
distributed by Fox.
Howard the Duck.
Well, yeah, right. So 10 of the bottom 20 films, there's a total of 55, are Fox films.
Fox.
Elektra is 53rd, and I highlighted what 54th was. That's not Fox, that's Universal. But Howard the Duck is 54. Elektra is 53. You have the 2015 Fantastic Four at 49. The 2003 Daredevil, 46. Silver Surfer in 2007, that's at 44. The Wolverine from 2013, that's 42nd. X-Men First Class is 40th.
Crazy.
The original, not the original, but the 2005 Fantastic Four is 39th. X-Men Apocalypse, 38th. The original X-Men, 37th. X-Men Origins, Wolverine, is 35th. So a fair amount of the lowest grossing Marvel movies have half of them are made by Fox.
Yeah, I will watch Howard the Duck for how hot Leah Thompson is. So there you go. I'll take that.
Duck tits, woo!
Even if she is gonna like get down with some, there's some weird vibes in that movie, man. I tell you. I don't know what I think about some of it.
It's a weird movie, man. I like how you don't put the Roger Corman Fantastic Four on there. I mean, it made $0, so technically it's the lowest grossing,
Was
right?
it Fox?
It was never released properly, right?
Oh, that's true. That's right. It might not have been Fox. You're right. Okay,
I think the lowest grossing was the Inhumans or whatever that IMAX movie was.
They released what, like 2 episodes or 4 episodes or something on, but that series was absolutely trash from what most people told me. I haven't really explored a lot of the extended, Marvel television universe, I guess. I actually haven't even watched the Netflix stuff that I've heard are very, very good. So
with all that as a precursor, are you guys excited for Dark Phoenix or what?
I'm excited for the mess it's going to be.
They reshot the entire third act, right? Because they said that it was too similar to another recent superhero film, so that was the reasoning behind the reshoots. But
Dude, how much do you know about that, by the way? Because I've read up on it a little bit.
It's something on a train, right?
They went from space to a train because obviously train is better than space.
Okay, how many train things in between Solo and between? I mean, we've had train stuff in Days of Future Past,
too.
For God's sake.
We did. Oh, I mean, trains are dope. Don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Trains never go out of style. They still use them all over the East Coast, even though we don't really have them here in Phoenix.
Or here in California, like passenger trains have to wait for hours when cargo trains go by.
Yeah,
so when you're going up and down the coast on a train, they say make sure you have time because you will be sitting there for a long time.
Oh, so Paul in the chat says this new film is set in the 1990s and the new/altered timeline doesn't look like Charles or Eric have aged. They should look around 50 or 60.
They should.
Brilliant
it's
point.
Silly. Honestly, I'm more excited about the 3rd season of Legion. Just bring that on, man. I mean,
I got to watch that show one of these days. It looks very cool. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
It's strange, man, but boy, is it good. And I love me some Aubrey Plaza, like legit.
Oh, she's so good. Yeah,
she's so funny and pretty and weird, which like just ups her hotness. So,
And
agreed.
This is it for Fox without Disney, right? Like this is the final hurrah.
Aside from the whole New Mutants thing and when the hell we finally get around to seeing that.
Yeah.
So, but there's still a lot of speculation. They're just going to dump it on Hulu and just be done with it. But at least for now, it's dated in April 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, you're right. 4/3, I think. So yeah, April 3rd, I think.
Do you think they're going to? Are they? What is Disney's next step with a Fox property?
With this property, they're going to just they're going to slowly incorporate them into the Marvel universe. Although everybody is speculating that they're going to bring in the Fantastic Four before they start incorporating mutants, and maybe save mutants for the end of Phase 4. And
that'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Fantastic Four needs some love, man. Like, I'd be down for that.
Well, and if it holds true with alternate universe dimensional stuff, like they hint at in the Far From Home trailer when Mysterio's talking to Peter, and they're like, oh yeah, all the Endgame stuff that created alternate timelines and alternate universes and all this other silliness. So I mean, that would make sense for mutants to just show up all of a sudden because of those things that almost like the whole reverberation aftershock from the Endgame stuff. So.
That's me. I read about that. That's interesting. I read that people are like suspecting that Mysterio's lying, and I'm like, it's a weird lie to put in the trailer, but sure, okay.
He does lie about everything as a character. It's kind of his MO. But
I mean, yeah, he's Mysterio, but like, yeah, it's the lead with the lie like that is interesting. I think so. I think you're right that they are going to do a lot of multi-dimensional stuff, or at least a little bit. Who knows?
Are they ever going to incorporate Deadpool?
They have said there at least, and he's the only character that they're going to try to keep in a separate little patch universe of sorts, because they want to maintain his R rating. Even if they tested the waters with that Once Upon a Deadpool with doing it PG-13, it didn't fare very well at the box office. And I think maybe if it had done better, they would have been more like receptive to that idea. But Deadpool has to be R rated, and at the end of the day, Disney likes money. And so I think that's really the only character from that universe they're not going to muck with very much.
Even if they don't somehow get Logan back, just for a one-off, a Logan Deadpool R-rated, fuck it, here it comes.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
I just wish they would do like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe in some degree, and that would be the perfect way to do a third Deadpool movie. I think is to have him go. I mean, maybe even bring back like, a Chris Evans or a Hugh Jackman, and they can just do those roles one more time in some weird alternate offshoot of whateverness, and he's just killing everybody. That would be great.
Yeah, or a multiverse and have Chris Evans as both what's his face from Fantastic Four and Captain America.
Oh, that would be great, man. He was, for my money, he was one of the only funny parts and one of the only redeeming qualities aside from maybe Chickless in those movies, because their banter back and forth. There's one line in particular where Chickless is the Thing or whatever is talking about. He's like, yeah, I have this new girlfriend, and Evan's little one-liner, he's like, well, you better be careful with her. I don't want her to die in a rock slide. And then he's like, you what so-and-so, and he wants to go like choke. That's some funny stuff, man. I actually like that. So,
yeah, America didn't, Fuego. So.
Only redeeming qualities. I don't think anybody really did. Just America.
I do agree with you that Chris Evans was very good in those movies. I don't know if I could call it redeemable. Yeah, no, it was redeemable. Sure, why not?
He was the only watchable thing in those movies. I mean, but that's back when he was doing like not another teen movie, for God's sake. His career really not in the best shape. So
I'm just glad we got him and Scott Pilgrim at that in-between point. He was great in that movie, and I don't think you would have been able to get him at this stage.
Yeah, the cast in Scott Pilgrim is bonkers. The amount of talent they have in that movie.
Yeah. Plus the guy behind the camera is well underappreciated.
Between that and Baby Driver was so good. I mean, anything. I still wonder what his Ant-Man would have been like in a lot of ways. Even if I really enjoyed the hell out of Ant-Man more so than I thought. I mean, still, it's that whole what could have been, what if sort of scenario.
I want to see an Edgar Wright movie with a $50 million budget. Just go $100 million. Can you imagine what he does with $100 million?
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I would want.
Yeah, like my brain's exploding right
now. So some news: Harrison Ford alluded to, hinted at. I don't know how much weight you should put behind this, but apparently they're making another Indiana Jones, and there might be a passing of the torch or something like that, or maybe
tried that before and it was horrible.
No, we already sang this song.
Just do it. No, don't do it. Sorry, Shia.
Oh, Eddie D in the chat. That's right. R-rated Frank Castle. That's another.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Disney needs to embrace some of those R-rated. Hell, just make Fox its own little R-rated subdivision.
Well, and bring what's-his-face from the Netflix show.
Well, they kind of did that with the Netflix shows, right? Because those were definitely R-rated with some of the language and violence and stuff like that. I've only seen a couple episodes of Daredevil here and there, but I thought that what's his name from The Cell was just a fantastic Kingpin, man. I mean, he was really, really good. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that's the movie you know him from. That's so funny. He's such a good actor.
I love The Cell, man. That's
The
visually
Cell
like
is
one
dope.
of the striking movies. I mean, that's a good J-Lo movie, actually. I'll stand by that.
It is a good J-Lo movie.
Vincent D'Onofrio, that's his name.
That's
Vincent
it.
D'Onofrio.
I was trying to remember his name too. Yeah, D'Onofrio.
Robert Duell says, "Feed Danny DeVito roids and boom, our new Wolverine."
I'm so all about that. Got to pay the troll toll, man. Got to pay the troll toll, Eddie D.
So if
I would watch that.
If you're following this channel, you might have seen a live commentary over the weekend, and that was, I don't know, it happened for a bunch of reasons. Lindsey's had his finger on the pulse of this movie for months, I want to say now. But,
2 weeks.
It felt like years. So this film titled Lok Ucha came out and was put out.
This is the one you told me about like 1 or 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Lindsey's been just wouldn't shut up about it for weeks now. Amazon.
I mentioned it like twice.
Well, that's too much. Amazon just secretly put it out there, and I don't know. Lindsey, do you want to take it away about the quality that is Lok Ucha?
I'm just gonna keep saying it. He's the new Tommy Wiseau. It's so misguided. It's so confused. It wants to.
Tommy Wiseau has charisma though. Like there's something.
Is that what he has? It's charisma.
He's still making movies. I saw a trailer for his new movie with the other guy from The Room, or from The Room, right? Because there's Room with
Brie Larson. Hey, shout out to Dino.
Dino's favorite lady, and. But yeah, Wiseau, whatever. He's still making films, man, and he has a 2-parter that's coming out.
Best Friends, right?
I saw the first half of that. No,
I saw the trailer for the sequel, and they're like stealing ATMs, and they're out in the desert breaking open ATMs, and they're screaming at each other, and I'm like, this looks so dumb and silly that I actually want to see it.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to check that out. I am very curious about Best Friends, and with the second part coming out, like I have to.
And then they have their weird shark movie that's coming out, and I'm like, oh hi shark! It's like, come on, man.
I haven't heard about that. I want to see a Tommy Wiseau shark movie.
I did a trailer reaction to it, man.
that has a certain bit of charm to it. This Lok Ucha movie is just painful. Like it's tone deaf for starters.
Oh yeah. What was it, like 4 transgender jokes, something like that, all in kind of a vicious intent behind them?
He does an Indian stereotypical Indian accent. I don't know.
That's what we need more of.
He says that it's a message about, it's a social message about what's going on today, and
it is.
I don't think he got that message across.
It's very it's a fun watch to an extent because it's so weird and bad, but then I compared it to Funny People when we were doing the commentary, and how it goes from being like, yeah, okay, I can see where this is supposed to be funny, and then it's just like a deadpan drama for the last half, and Funny People struggled with that transition, and so this movie more than struggled with that transition. And it's just, you really are kind of left feeling weirdly empty and just confused at the end of this movie, because, I guess spoilers, he gets the black girl in the end, even though he spends the entire movie doing, a horrible impersonation of a black woman.
Well,
so
forgetting that, as a film, technically speaking, as a film. What is the story? What is his arc? What does he lose? What is he gaining? There's no struggle, there's no conflict. It's just a guy who's a bartender who can do a black woman's voice. Oh, and apparently he can do another person's
supposedly
voice. Yeah. And because his black person is so good, the radio execs, which by the way, radio execs, what year are we in that he's trying to impress radio execs?
Yeah, I mean, aside from sports radio, which I do listen to when I'm driving to and from work a lot of the time, I don't really think there's any other viable radio aside from, all of your throwback, 70s, 80s, programming that you hear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Modern radio, though, for like new songs and stuff like that, donuts, man. Not at all.
Yeah.
No, I think I said this on the commentary too, so I don't want to. Sorry to repeat myself, but why isn't this movie about a podcast where he just like brings people in and like discusses their problems with them? Like you get so much more attention in something with something like that in the modern era doing that, and
which is the new radio podcast.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hello to you listening to us right now, by the way.
Exactly. Thank you for participating in our new media branch out here at Show Business. It's and he's such a weird figure, and like he has multiple YouTube channels. Like he abandoned one to start another one.
You're talking about the actor himself, the creator,
the guy who made the movie. Yeah, Jeremy Seville, whose biggest credit is one episode on Modern Family, and hey, good for him. He got an episode of Modern Family.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. I think it was like 9 years ago too. I think it was like 2010 he did that.
I wouldn't.
That's the show with Al Bundy. I want to say.
Yes. Sorry, for a second I was like, wait, no, it's not Married with Children. That was, but no.
I wouldn't doubt if I opened for him somewhere on the road. Like he's that kind of shticky, terrible comedian that, and there's a fair chance that I've actually worked with this guy and not even know him.
Oh, jeez. And I've said it again, and I'll just say it again more. I do respect that he goes for it. He I'm gonna make a movie, and he goes and he makes it. Even if that movie's twice. Yeah, he's done it twice. He's got distribution on him.
So now, with that said, again, I'll say, what's the conflict of this story? What are you trying to tell us? What's your social message that you're really trying to put across? Because he has these. He hires this black producer who's okay with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's his line? I don't know if you're a better therapist or a better black person.
Yeah. His love interest is black. Yeah. He hires a heavy-set black woman to play Lok Ucha in public, but there's no pushback. There's no sort something like this. If you're gonna say that this is a message movie, you gotta have some sort of experiences as to why this is a thing and why it's so
it's like the opposite of Black Klansman then, right? It's socially important and needs to be seen.
Just imagine Black Klansman, and when he shows up as he was like the security guard towards the end.
Right.
Just imagine him showing up and there being no problems whatsoever. Just okay, here's a black guy at our Klan meeting.
Oh my God, that would be so fun. That would be a hilarious way to end a movie.
There's no conflict. There's no friction. There's nothing to overcome.
That would be on par with that first Dave Chappelle episode with the black white supremacist man. I mean, come on now. One of the most socially unacceptable sketches I have ever seen put to television. And
it's so good, though. It's so, that's a good way to put this. This is almost like someone doing a sketch that's dealing with race like that, but it's played straight with jokes that make you go, was that supposed to be a joke, or are you trying to be serious here? Because
cringeworthy, huh?
Yeah, there is an alternate dimension of this movie where this is a very self-aware movie, and they're kind of trying to do a mix of the black white Klansman and black Klansman and Sorry to Bother You all into one huge thing. But in order to do that, the guy needs to lose something. He needs to be punished. Or he needs to not get the girl at the end. There needs to be consequences. But there's CB keeps saying there's none.
There's that Dave Chappelle bit where he's a blind what is he? He's a blind KKK member. Dave Chappelle plays this old guy.
That's what I just mentioned. Yeah.
Oh, did you? I must have. Yep. All right.
Yeah, the black.
There's something.
CP's not paying attention to us anymore.
I was. Yeah. I have no excuse. I was farting around with something here. So yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself, Fuego. I guess that's.
No, good minds think alike, man. I mean, if that's the tone that they were trying to that sort of reaction to this, but I almost, based on all the discussion from you guys, feel like I have to watch this movie. I mean, if it's only 80 minutes of my life I'm going to lose just for further discussion with you guys, it's I think I need to do it.
So as a music guy, I would love to hear your opinions on the music of the movie. It's like YouTube free library music levels.
Oh my God. Okay, well,
expose how much I didn't hear what you said. Did you mention the fact that part of the joke was that he divorced his wife because she was married to
a lover. Yeah.
So that is a joke that it's a little edgy, but at least it's a joke and plays into the narrative of how messed up the story is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's none of that here.
Yeah, and something that both Carlin and Pryor and Hicks and a lot of those guys, they were like, you can have edgy social commentary, but it's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down kind of thing. Where if you make people
like
laugh,
I just put Carlin and Mary Poppins together. That's beautiful.
Well,
sorry, keep going.
It's like one of the only ways you can address some of these really just tough topics, and because you're like, but it's presented as a joke, but then in turn it makes you think afterwards and stuff, and so that's one of the beauties about comedy. And I mean, CP, I know you know this with way more experience in the field than me, man. So,
well, it's you get the idea that in somebody else's hands with a little bit more time in the oven, there could be something here. It's not like, all right, yeah, there's something to say. You're just not saying it right. I guess is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, well, it's like somebody trying to play, I don't know, like a cover song, and they're just doing the shittiest job, and they're missing the notes and stuff, and it's totally off time or whatever. Like, you're not going to have that proper impact if you're not presenting it properly and don't have the skill with which to, put it together. So,
yeah. So
it's almost like he doesn't have the balls to as an artist or a writer or whatever you want to say it. He doesn't to challenge himself to have him be the bad guy in this scenario. He's not. He doesn't because there's no real antagonist in the movie outside of, against spoilers, the woman that they hire to be the face of Lok Ucha. She goes a little power hungry towards the end. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna continue the Lok Ucha thing, and I'm just gonna keep doing it because I'm Lok Ucha." And I'm sorry for that impersonation I just did there. I didn't even mean to. It just kind of came out talking about this movie. The bad guy in this movie can't be a black woman. It needs to be him. It needs to be him. It needs and then you watch his other movie, The Test, where it's about him pushing the limits of his ex-wife to see what she'll take in order to find out how much she loves him. The movie should end with them never talking again, but in the end, they're still together.
Yeah, isn't his lesson the fact that sorry guys for sort of spoiling this if you had an idea of watching a 0% movie on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think the message or the lesson that he gets is the fact that he didn't tell his girlfriend that he was Lok Ucha, not the fact that he is posing as this black woman. Right?
No, go ahead.
Am I right? Isn't that was the message, or that's what he learned, and that was the.
It was the dishonesty more than the fact that he went and did this. Is the fact that he wasn't honest about his horrible impersonation.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys. I feel like we've been talking about this movie forever now. So thank you for putting up with it, everyone. And Fuego, who hasn't even seen it, thank you for.
Well, no, I mean, you piqued my interest, and I mean the fact that you're saying that, there's no stakes, there's no consequence, and it just really makes so much of what happens you can't really find it as compelling because of that, or at least that's what I would assume if you have this sort of approach. So
yeah, dude, not to be a film school snob, but the first day they teach you the 3-act structure: intro, conflict, resolution. There's no conflict or resolution. It's shit. There's barely an intro. It's just there. What you're supposed to care about. That's what makes the conflict the best part. Fuck.
There's also somewhere around the end of 2, beginning of 3, there's the all hope is lost kind of scenario where you're supposed to feel like, how are we ever gonna find some sort of
right.
I love that there's thank you, Fuego. There's no all is lost moment in this movie. I've been trying to put that into words. He's just always on top, and he's just always it's the movie's frustrating, and it's you don't want to. It's once you start, you can't stop talking about it.
He stops doing it because the lady gets power hungry because she wants money. That's the reason he stops.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's so strange.
No, he doesn't stop. In the end, sorry, again, spoilers. In the end, he's still doing it. He's got 2 shows now where he's doing radio talk things about people's problems. One where he's himself, and one where he's Lok Ucha.
Yeah. By the
Spoilers.
way, yeah. If you, for those of you who have Amazon Prime, congratulations! It's free. Go watch it. And if you want to watch with Lindsey, Dino, and I, there is a live commentary with the time code listed. I think we actually start about 10 minutes into that episode, but that's on my channel here on WILIscredia. So if you'd like to watch along with us and watch me in absolute horror.
I think that's exactly how I need to watch this.
There's no other way to watch this movie than with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is there any other? Robert Pattinson is apparently officially Batman.
Yeah, I guess hashtag Pattinson.
Yes.
That's the new thing. Actually. We went from Batfleck to Pattinson. There you go.
I kind of like Pattinson, actually. I'll say that. Batfleck was always kind of adorable in an awkward way, but Pattinson.
Well, I've
seen Patman. I've seen Patman too.
I always thought of Buttman in Mallrats, where they had the fake comic cover for Ben Affleck. That was really good. It's a connotation I always made. Yeah. The customer is always an asshole.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I should go watch that movie again. It's been too long.
What?
Mallrats is tremendous. I love that movie.
Is there any?
I love all of them.
Is there anything else newsworthy that perhaps we missed last week or leading up until today?
Well, I
less
even
than 100 million tells. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say I even went back through the headlines from the previous week, man, and it was very thin as far as like big marquee discussion goes. You know, I mean, there's a Magic the Gathering series that the Russo brothers are working on. If anybody has their red decks ready,
so excited.
Yeah, so excited. And then apparently Quentin Tarantino has commissioned the guy behind a comic book. It's Jared Carmichael. So there's going to be a Django/Zorro crossover movie that he's trying to put together, and it's based on. It's going to be loosely based on the comic book of the same premise. So that intrigues me a little bit. I don't know if Tarantino's going to direct it, though. Is the thing. So.
Did we discuss that Tarantino fluff from a week ago or two?
The trailer?
No.
I love that.
No, not the trailer.
I'm so excited. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood looks amazing, but go ahead.
Lindsey, look up Tarantino, his response to a question at Cannes.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we talked about that when someone asked him.
The Margot Robbie comment, right?
Yeah, that caused a bit of a something. I don't know what you would call it, but Tarantino, I mean, guys, we know him by now. Tarantino's he likes himself. He thinks he's good. He is. He is.
Yeah. So there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, though, as I always say. So.
Yeah, confidence and cockiness. There's he's earned the right to be confident. He hasn't earned the right to be a little bit of a dick. And it's a pretty gray area, because somebody asked him about the amount of screen time that Margot Robbie has in the film. Margot Robbie, who plays Sharon Tate. Spoiler: Sharon Tate was murdered.
Hey, real life spoilers. Hey.
So
more real life spoilers.
So who knows how much? I mean, they could be doing an Inglourious Bastards and changing up history, and maybe she lives, and maybe she's in the movie.
That's what I'm honestly anticipating.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Or maybe she kills Charles Manson herself.
I don't
know.
Lindsey, do you have the quote?
Oh, I thought I had it, but then it turned out to be something else. So give me a second. I'll try and find it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, everyone's reacting to Tarantino getting all haughty about this and stuff. Like he said, we know him. He's a cracked out egomaniac artist. That's why we love him. Like, why are you? And yeah, like he needs to rein it in sometimes, and maybe he needs to do like a little less cocaine. But would he still be Tarantino if he reined it in? Like sometimes you just gotta let an artist be an artist, and he's had plenty of movies with strong, well-written lady characters. You got both Kill Bill movies. There's some great ladies in Hateful Eight, and
Pam Grier, Jackie Brown, man.
Yeah,
Kill Bill's pretty female heavy too. Strong females,
right? I mean, I get in the meat. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going to no finish, man. My bad.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I get it post Me Too, bring it up. Sure, it's worth bringing up to directors, but when he rejects the question in a very Tarantino way, when he's got the track record that he has, I just don't know what people expected. I really don't.
Now, was this after the standing ovation or before that he made the comment?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm really curious about it, because if the ego has been boosted after that, 5-10 minute standing ovation, whenever the hell it was,
but dude, those standing ovations at Cannes are really,
they're about like this.
Yeah, Clerks 2 had a 16-minute standing ovation. Listen, I enjoy Kevin Smith as much as the next guy. Clerks 2. 16-minute standing ovation.
Clerks is my favorite movie of all time. It's like Aliens and Clerks because they're so different, But Clerks is my favorite comedy of all time, and Clerks 2 is it's like take Jay and Silent Bob, strike back in the tone of that, but make it 100 times dumber and not funny. And that's what I'm worried about for the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, is that it's going to be more along that tone.
I think he was in a very sentimental, sweet way when he made Clerks 2, and that's kind of present in that movie. It's the warmest movie Kevin Smith has ever done. Whether
then Jersey Girl.
Yeah.
So here it is. I found it, by the way.
Okay.
So what they were asking him why Margot Robbie doesn't have more lines in the movie, and maybe that's because she gets murdered. Mm-hmm. And his he was just asking about that, and asking whether or not he had any hesitation about depicting tragic and real life figures, and Tarantino responded just with no, which makes sense. He did Hitler. He clearly doesn't have any issue with doing dramatized versions of real life things, so that makes sense. And then the Margot Robbie question was, they said why does she have so few lines and stuff, and his specific response is, I reject your hypothesis, which that is pretty hard, and obviously journalistic people, and I have nothing against journalistic people at all, they're going to run with that and do things with it, but I wonder if this was just a situation of you poke the bee's nest of a guy who's kind of a dick and does too much coke, and you bruise his ego a little bit,
I feel like that's just running with it a little more. So I hadn't seen the specific quote. I had seen people's interpretation of the quote, and then how they're demeaning, or he's demeaning, the caliber for performance and all these different things. And I know he has to. Maybe he should tread a little more lightly. He's not going to, because he's Tarantino. But I mean, there was all this stuff with Uma Thurman recently, where she was talking about the way he treated her on the Kill Bill set, and yet they made nice and buried the hatchet and everything, and she kind of bailed Tarantino out in this current just new landscape that we live in as far as Hollywood goes.
Or instead of being a smarmy douche, why don't you ask him, if you think he's wrong, ask him, well, what about her screen time makes you think that she's not there enough? There's ways to I reject your hypothesis. Dude, come on. You're a brilliant filmmaker. We all know that. It doesn't mean you can be a jackass.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, for the record, I'm not saying I'm happy that Tarantino's an asshole. It's who he is, I would prefer it if he was a nice guy, but would we still get the same type of movies if he had a different personality than what he is? Would that movie still have the same edge if he wasn't this kind of hard ass sometimes?
And and his defense, a lot of those questions they get asked garbage questions for hours on end. There's that famous clip of Tom Hardy when somebody asked him about posing for what ended up being, doing an interview or something for what ended up being a gay magazine, and they asked him about his sexual status, and he's like, why does that matter? Who cares? And it's a hell of a point.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. That's why, the best things that come out of press junkets for movies beforehand are the weird ones, when The Rock and the Screen Junkie guy would they pretend to be best friends when he was interviewing him and stuff like that, because these actors and directors and writers, they get put into these rooms and then they get brought one press person
for
and
hours,
another press person, it's 5 or 6 hours sometimes. I know one time I think it was one of the Fast and the Furious movies, they rented out the Dodger Stadium parking lot in order to have all this stuff, and they just kept shoveling in more and more journalists in order to get all the coverage that they needed. Yeah, it literally is, and it's just the worst way to get a good response out of someone. And maybe when it's like at a public forum, kind of like the Tarantino thing, like it's a little bit different. But even then, like, got all these cameras flashing at you and people yelling and it's loud and everyone's trying to shout to get their question while the person who's actually asking their question is getting their question answered. It's, environment and situation are important.
Yeah. He's a little full of himself. Yeah.
Also, I'll just say now, if Tarantino is like a misogynistic douchebag, fuck him. I'm just throw it out there just to cover all the bases.
Yeah.
Like,
and just the Peter. Description. Sorry.
I was just saying hi to Peter in the chat. Hi.
Oh.
Yes, beauty movie, man. Hope your back's feeling better, broski. No, I was just gonna say that's a lot more power to those who are able to maintain their composure and professionalism in that sort of environment, Lindsey, is because if you can somehow just keep that rapport going and be kind and courteous and actually not just a total douche, then hey, those are the real consummate professionals, in my opinion, if they can maintain that. So.
Makes you appreciate Tom Hanks that much more.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder which of the Screen Junkies it was. Is it the shamed Mr. Andy, whatever the hell, or whatever?
Oh yeah, no, yes, yeah.
Talk about the Me Too and Time's Up movement, huh?
Yeah, right. Like as I'm wearing this too, I didn't realize I forgot that I was wearing this when I referenced the Screen Junkies thing. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a shill here. I just found this in my closet earlier. I'm like, oh, that'd be fun.
I love the hell out of Dan Murrell. Dan Murrell's cool. Roth is cool. Yeah. I don't know about that guy, but
that's why
Andy is no longer with them, right? They kind of just swept him under the rug.
Yeah.
So fun fact, I met Andy a couple times, and every time he almost seemed disappointed when I'm like, hey, I'm Lindsey. Because I'm always like, oh, did he think I was a girl?
He's like, you don't have tits. What's wrong? Why doesn't a Lindsey have tits?
See, for as much as people give me shit for being so, blunt with the things I say a lot of things that make people blush, but I'm a perfectly respectable human being when it comes to touching and treating people properly. I may not say the right things, but at least my actions are pure.
You speak louder than your words, good sir.
Yeah. I might call somebody the C word. Doesn't mean I'm going to treat them like one.
Well, it's funny. I had dinner with an old family friend who's English and her daughter a few weeks ago when my family was in town. And they just kept dropping the C word because that's just how they do it over there. They don't care.
It's not a word that has the same stigma over here as it does over there, right?
Exactly. And that's why British people have the best swear words.
Yes.
Sorry, cunt.
I love sod so much.
Anything else? We're not getting from Dino. So anyone want to wrap it up with anything? Any news? Any topics? Anything you wanted to bring up? Anything you want to plug?
If you're a fan of Swamp Thing, I definitely recommend the DC Universe. Even if you just sign up for the free 5-day trial or whatever it is, it's James Wan produced. Atomic Monster, I want to say, is his production company. And the first episode is really, really good. That's the only one that's available as of now. And then AMC debuted Nosferatu, which is, I know this is television in comparison, but I mean, anything Stephen King family related is like big time stuff for me. Joe Hill being King's kid. And Zachary Quinto is solid as the villain. And you've got Ashley Cummings, who is in a really underseen and underrated indie kind of thriller called Hounds of Love about a year or two ago, about this girl who gets kidnapped in Australia by this couple, and they keep her captive and torture her. And it's not full on torture porn or anything. It's more like psychological games of her trying to, just flirt with the boyfriend and get him to release her, and then also dealing with the girlfriend in the same way. It's a very, very terrific movie. If you guys haven't seen Hounds of Love, I totally recommend it. And so the actress who is the kidnappee, she's the lead in this series, and she's good. So yeah. Nosferatu.
I've heard of that before. I'll check that out. Nosferatu, man, that trailer. If you don't know what Nosferatu is, this new version, look up that trailer. It looks awesome.
And the title alone gives Joe Hill some major brownie points. The way he spells it, NOS4A2. It's just okay, you're clever. You're obviously Stephen King's kid. So
yeah, no, definitely.
Good job, sir.
Lindsey.
So I'm trying to do a thing on Lok Ucha. We'll see if I'm able to get my head around it enough for it to be coherent and not just 20 minutes of me going blah, 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 That'll literally be the video. But other than that, for recommendation for me, if you have Amazon, because we talk about series, I recommend Good Omens. I'm on episode 3. I'm loving the hell out of it. It's based on a Terry Pratchett novel that was also written by Neil Gaiman. Hilarious novel. It's a hilarious show. Just if you want something fun and different, check it out.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Is anyone?
Go ahead.
I was just that I didn't realize you were going to start talking. My bad, man. I was going to see if anyone's seen Secret Life of Pets 2.
Oh, is that out yet?
That
comes out
Friday. This weekend as well.
It does come out this Friday. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I forgot to talk about this last week, but Fox sent me a copy of Lords of Chaos on Blu-ray.
Fox?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice, man.
Yeah. So there's a copy being made by Arrow, which has a lot of special features on it. If you're looking for special features on Lords of Chaos, perhaps wait for the Arrow release, as the Fox Blu-ray only has tiny teasers. Perhaps that's another reason why I didn't plug that review copy, because it's a little skimpy. If you have a region-free Blu-ray player and you're waiting for Lords of Chaos, perhaps wait for the Arrow copy, because little thin on the features for the Lords of Chaos. I brought it up.
I have lots of Arrow stuff. They're so good.
Oh, yeah. Arrow's like my new Criterion. It's almost like porn. So I have the numbers up for the highest box office grosses from Fox's boxes. What do you guys think Dark Phoenix pulls in this weekend?
I'm going to say like 32.
32.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. 32. Ooh. Godzilla pulled in 48.
I don't think people really care anymore, man. I mean, what did Apocalypse
ROCKETMAN did 26.
Okay, maybe 42, but I don't know. People did not like Apocalypse, and I don't necessarily feel like they are just like screaming for this film. And this has been delayed as well a couple times. So I think people are kind of, 42. I'll say 42.
Yeah, so the lowest one on this top 10 here, the Wolverine, did 53.
Yeah.
Lindsey, what do you got for me?
I'm gonna say I'm in the same boat as Fuego, but I just have a different number than him. I'll say 60.
60.
So it'll do. I'll say it's gonna do about on a little bit less than Apocalypse did.
That's incredible.
Because Apocalypse at least had hey, it's Apocalypse. Like any X-Men fan has been waiting for this guy, but
and the title doesn't even have X-Men in it.
Yeah.
Is it just called Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, it's not even called X-Men. It doesn't have X-Men anywhere in the title. It's just called Dark Phoenix, which I think may really work to their disadvantage.
I didn't know that. That's you're right. That's
bad marketing, man, in my opinion.
That's
intentional. They're trying to just differentiate it from the X-Men. That's the only reason to do that. That is kooky.
Is there anything at stake for this? If it fails horribly, is there anything at stake for the franchise, for X-Men movies as we know it? Because this is kind of the last hurrah before we get the Disney wipe. So
Mystique will never have to put that. I mean, not Mystique. Jennifer Lawrence will have to never put that makeup on again.
She stopped giving a crap about this role like 2 movies ago, man.
She stopped giving a crap about all roles about 5 years ago.
I'm looking at a picture of her in the Mystique makeup for this movie. It looks like a dollar store Halloween costume.
Yeah,
I'm going to say at this point I can't stand Jennifer Lawrence, man. I can't stand
I'll abbreviate my statement because I quite enjoyed Red Sparrow. That was an okay time.
I heard she's showing her goodies off in it.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
That's one of the things that I was kind of interested to see it, but you know.
All right, so that does it for this abbreviated edition of Show Business. Hopefully Dino will be back with us. Hopefully the baseball game will be over by next time.
It's a 3-week game. He's going to be gone for a while.
And for Fuego of Infuegotainment, the horror show, Lindsey of My 2 Cents of Nonsense, I am CP of WILIscredia. Again, live every Monday at 9 Eastern on WILIscredia. And again, if you want to listen to us, the podcast channel is Show Business. It has been an honor. Have a Monday.